Ziggity zig, talking his way out of gold game number 38. This one was a live game, but I forgot to hit record. So we're going to have a look at the replay for the second time, and I'm up against RedeemerSVD. We're going to pop up here in the top right, but the one thing we're going to show right now is my camera view, just for the fun of it, because why not? So, this is a PvP. So I decided to go for a Stargate. So there is 9 pylons. Sorry, 13. I'm not quite at 13 just yet, but I'm at 9 pylon. We'll fast forward through most of the beginning parts of this, partially because nothing much happens, but also mostly because I've already done this twice. So pylon 9, Go Scout, 13 gate. Pretty standard, 14 gas. I hummed and hawed over getting when I get the next gas, and I go and I see, okay, that's just a gateway, that's no big deal. So there's my scout, done. I continue to patrol back and forth, just to see whether there's any kind of shenanigans or whatnot going on. It does stick around for a while, until at least the Cyber Core, so that went alright. I decided to not get a 14-15 gas, even though I know it's a Stargate build, just so that I can get that 16 pylon, which seems to be more handy, especially as a macro build. So, I put down the Cyber Core, and then with my next amount of money, before I get a Zealot, or any sort of attacking unit, that's when I get the gas. So I don't make a unit, I get a gas. I get a second gas so that I can start in and being able to afford that Stargate. I just run back and forth quite a bit there. So, the next thing is just once that Cyber Core finishes, I keep up on my macro. I probably should have boosted one more time, since I wasn't actually going to boost the Cyber Core. So I wait for enough money. Sorry, excuse me. And once I have enough money, I drop down the Stargate, which was, geez, what was it, 150, 150, I think? If I remember correctly. Let's have a peek. 150, 150, yep. So I'm waiting for the 150 gas. Boom, there it is. And I nab that. I do not boost anything yet, and as you can see, I am pretty much full on boost at the moment, which is really poor. I do make a Zealot just there in time, but as you can see, my scouting probe has now died, so I have no idea what's going on up there. I'm not going to show you what's going on up there, but I am going to show you the income level, because this is sort of where it was sitting right now. The thing that pissed me off about this game, and this is a stupid thing to complain about, but I'm not usually the red player, so I didn't know what I was looking at, so I kept thinking, oh, there's blue, that's just fine. And instead of and every time I thought I saw blue, I think, oh, that's one of my dudes. So the harassment worked a lot better than normal with me, because I'm used to, oh, red means bad, blue means good, but that didn't really carry through in this case. So maybe I should turn on colorblind mode or something like that, where it just automatically does it. There is the first boost. So I'm boosting out my first Void Ray. I think I put boost out basically as many as possible. Once again, I cannot see anything else, but I think I'm working on, that's a sentry that's about to pop out. So I've got 2 Zealots and a sentry, just in case there's any kind of pressure, rush, something like that, just to have it. And then I think I stopped working on it. There we go. So it's Stalker's next, and then there's my units. I'm trying not to give too much of it away, because I'm trying to show this from the perspective of my take on the game, so that you're not seeing an everything take on things. Now, I will every now and then show you, because I've watched the replay already, and I know my mistakes. I think I know my mistakes, but... So there's yet another one being boosted. At 2024, I'm almost perfectly saturated, or fully saturated on my main base. There's a few units just there. Got my research complete. I was trying to afford those extra gateways, but oh my god, Void Rays are expensive. And they get even more expensive, because if you look at that, I'm actually ahead. However, oh no, wait, how am I ahead when he has more harvesters? Oh, they're probably wandering around doing different things, proxy pylons and whatnot. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I'm also having to peek down in the minimap, because pretty soon things occur. There it is. Have a look in the bottom minimap down here, just down here. See that? A little blue blip going in. This is my first mistake, because here comes an oracle. Now, I'll show you what I do. Because he pops down there and I think, oh look, I will send, and I tried double clicking my Void Rays, but I only got one of them. I did get all of my workers away, and then I just kept moving back and forth. I did lose 7 because I lost my first one initially, but look at my income, and I suddenly dropped down, so I'm not making anything. But I lost 7 to one single oracle, which is bad, because oracle, I think, does not cost 350 minerals. So that easily paid for itself. And now I'm only down to 21 harvesters. So that was my first mistake, was that I didn't protect or get my workers away fast enough, even though I did see it. So here comes my Void Ray, and I'm ready to go in. So then we start moving up the map. But the interesting thing is here is on the heels of the Void Ray is units and a war. So there's a little fight going on up here. And when I get up there, I think, oh cool, here we go. And this is when units lost tab starts to. I mean, it's pretty even right now. So here's my reds, and he's got a couple of Void Rays as well. Takes out one of mine. I take out most of his units, but as I move up there, I also realize, oh wait a minute, he moved towards my base as well, so I need to do something about that. I'm going to boost that one, try to get a bit more, and I think, oh, here's my guys coming back. No, those are his, because, again, they're blue, and the blue-red thing pissed me off and confused me so much, so I kept trying to work this out and try to figure out what was going on, but these units, these blue units, they just kept trundling up here, and I was trying to do something about it, so I managed to just sort of go back and forth. I did warp in a Zealot for the remainder of his units, and I still tried to come in and kill them, but as you can see, I also lost, I think that goes up to 13 at this point, because this Zealot comes in and does quite a bit of damage. Now, his Zealot does not have any upgrades, because I don't believe, nope, we're both just sitting on the warp gate, so we don't have any forge upgrades right now, but there's the units killed and the workers killed, so he's taking out a total of 11, which is bad for me, and I'm 25 to 31. However, I'm still not in terrible shape, because as you can see, I'm actually doing a bit alright over in the army supply, so I'm still doing okay. And then I saw this other Void Ray, and I think, oh, where's he going? I was like, alright, well, just in case that happens again, this is when I split up my army to have part of my army up over here in the left-hand side, just in case. But I also move my probe down to make it another forward pylon, just, you know, kind of get out there, have as many as possible. His Void Ray does not end up coming in, but I still move over there to try to defend against it, because I know it's probably going to come down from that angle, even though he moved in with his gateway units first. So I just try to keep an eye on that. I'm almost fully saturated once more. Still do not know what's going on as so far as his base. He could be expanding, something else could be happening, but then there we go. With 2 Void Rays up against 1 Void Ray, I just blast him out of the air, and that's fine. Third one pops out at the exact same time, so if you have a look there, I'm actually once again ahead in army supply. So even with that accident, that mild mistake, I am doing pretty well at this point. Now, we are going to get up to a few mistakes that I do make. Here I am, and I decide to move up once more, because having held off that attack, I think, okay, so I did see him move back past my pylons, not blowing them up, God only knows why. And then we try to get all set. I think I've got another Void Ray on the go. I have 3 right now, and I'm trying to warp in up here at the front. And look at this. 46 over 30. Still neither of us with an upgrade. So it should be pretty well even, but once again I fall into the old habit of going straight up against the choke point and not doing anything about it. What I really should have done here is waited a couple seconds. That got cancelled. I was going to go and snipe it. I saw this, and I moved up. Look at that. So he force fielded me from behind, so I got kind of stuck. My forward, I should have waited for that forward, for this forward pylon just over here, the reinforcing pylon. Because if you have a look now, things are not quite going my way. I'm not quite ahead in my army supplies I wanted to be. Here's another Void Ray slowly making its way up. Here's a few units that I warped in that did not come when I asked them to, which is annoying, and I hate it when that happens. So here comes these little 3. But again, army supply is about the same. And this, we're going to hop up here, because this is when other bad things happen. I'm now going to open it up to the whole thing. So if you have a look at his base, he's got just the Stargate. He added another gate. It's pretty much just oversaturated. It does have a mothership core, but for whatever reason, the mothership core isn't doing anything. Had he, you know, time warped me on the gate there, I would have been dead even faster. But here I come. And here's my paltry units. I do have this Void Ray slowly making its way up here. Let's see if I have a warp cycle ready. Nope, not quite. I did stay decently well enough on the warp cycle. So this Void Ray, and then he attacks, and then thinks, oh, I'll get bored and go over here. That was a bit of a piss. And then these Zealots kept going back and forth and back and forth. I should have saved them both right now because I can warp in again right here, and I believe these are some Stalkers. So these Zealots should have been back with me, and it should have been 2 Zealots. So there's another mistake, letting those guys. I did not have very good unit management, but the problem there, let me just pause again. As I was trying to figure this out, no, you can't quite see it on my, but on my hotkeys, I was stuck where whenever I double tap one, I had them stuck on my warp gates. And when my army got small, they'd constantly go all the way back to the base, and I hate it when that happens, and it drives me absolutely nuts, but that does happen fairly often. So now we're both just sort of sitting around, licking our wounds, trying to see what's next. The income is pretty much even, the supply is still double, so this, I can still salvage this, even with these several mistakes that I've done, because he's doing all sorts of weird mistakes as well. So here come a few Zealots on their way down of his, this kind of strange entry point, but next he walks down the ramp, his 5 Stalkers straight into me, and I get ready. There's my base. But what happens here? So I'm making a Nexus. He's making a Nexus as well. And I have these units, and I have... Where's everyone going? This is ridiculous. Oh, that's another huge... So, yeah, unit management, not so good. And, of course, at the same time, I did see all of this down here, so now I need to figure this out. I did have a look at this just to make sure, you know what, this is actually building at the right rate. So once these 2 Zealots take out this one dude, then they can come down and take out these 2 dudes, and we should be fine, right? Problem is that he had a lot of bank. A lot of bank, and so he can just sit and happily make a ridiculous amount more units, and these were the guys that chased me off, and I could have kept my, had I kept my army together, this would have gone a lot better. Here come 2 more, but I have this pretty much done. I put a photon cannon at the front just in case of DTs, because this is the kind of guy that would do that sort of thing. Look at this awesome ramp wall off, so that's done well, isn't it? Kill my probe, didn't like that much. Anyway, meantime, I was gonna work at the Twilight Council. Currently I'm working on +1, which, if I am not mistaken, does not finish in time. We're at 17 minutes in, and I just do not have, so I should have been upgrading at the same... Couldn't really be upgrading. I should have kept my units. If I was worried about units, I should have kept on with the units and kept up the pressure instead of expand. The expanding was a waste of 400 minerals that I could have done another warp-in cycle, and then I would have noticed that my Void Ray would have shown up, and he would have been done. Should have been the game right then and there. I made a few mistakes leading up to it, and a bunch more after and ever since, but with the amount of money that he's got now, so he just adds in a bunch more gateways, a bunch more things, then the army supply is definitely in his favor now, for whatever reason, just because I've got the Stargate, that I continue making a couple of Void Rays, which is a little bit on the ridiculous side. Army supply continues, but this is when, you know, I've got a pylon there and a pylon there. He's got a pylon just outside of his, or just over here by my base. He starts to move out. I realize that I've got a whole lot of bad coming towards me, so I make a Twilight Council. Can't remember why, but there's my mothership core, and I probably should have moved everyone. Oh, so many other things, because what happens here is he moves down all of his Stalkers, and they just eventually come for me. So I keep trying to make a couple more units, but I'm very Zealot heavy against Stalkers, and that doesn't quite, you know, even with the Void Ray, I do try to get the Twilight Council to make me some charge, but it's just not coming in fast enough. Blink is now finishing, and +1, so we're both at +1, which I guess is a thing. Should have brought my mothership core down here, because knowing that he's going to show up with a fairly large force. But the problem is all my forces off in different directions. The next thing I'm going to do is actually come over here and try to make an expansion, which is derpy. Didn't quite see that, but he's moving off, and here he comes. I believe, where's my Guardian Shield? There's my Guardian Shield, and then run and attack, run and attack. So I managed to do a little bit of an attack there. It was a fairly even game, with the exception of all of my mistakes. Had I had these Void Rays up front in that Guardian Shield, that probably would have done much better, but look at that. I'm all just all over the place and spread out. I cannot maintain my army. I cannot figure out what I'm doing. And I end the game. I didn't play very well there. I've been playing against Protoss for a while, but I need to get better at that build, because it is pretty strong if I can remember what I'm doing, if I cannot add things to hotkey groups that I don't want to. Leave me a comment down below, send me an email, ziggityzig@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter @ziggityzig. Stay tuned.